Have you ever felt invisible? Not in a magical, childish way, but in that slow, creeping, silent way. The way where the people you love, the people you raised, start to look through you instead of at you. It's a feeling I had learned to live with, a quiet ache I'd swallow down with my morning tea. I became a background presence, a useful pair of hands for babysitting, a reliable voice on the phone, but not a person. Not anymore. I am 72 years old, and I've lived a good life. But that quiet ache, that feeling of being a ghost in my own home, became a sharp, physical blow last week. It came from my son, David, and it came in one single, devastating sentence. It was about Halloween. Now, I have always loved Halloween, not for me, but for the children, the joy, the one night of the year they get to be anything they want. I had been planning. I bought the good candy, the full-size bars. I had a little witch's hat sitting on my table, just a silly little thing I'd hoped would make my grandchildren, Lily and Ben, laugh. I called David just to ask what time they were coming by. His voice was rushed, distant. And then I heard it, the sound I have learned to dread. It was, the "you're being a burden" sigh, the "why are you making this difficult" sigh. "Mom," he said, "look, please don't make this a thing. We're doing a party with friends this year." "Oh," I said, trying to sound bright. "What wonderful! I can drive over and meet you. I wouldn't want to miss seeing them in their costumes." And then a long, cold silence on the other end of the line. Finally, he said it. The words that punched the air right out of my chest. "Mom, honestly, you'll just embarrass us. The kids are older now. You're a lot. Just stay home. We'll send you a picture." I hung up the phone. My hand was trembling, not with rage, not yet, but with that cold, hollow shame. "You'll just embarrass us." So I did what I always do when something hurts me. I went to the kitchen, I made tea, I sat in my armchair, the one I rocked him to sleep in as a baby, and I just disappeared. I let the invisibility he handed me wrap around me like a shroud. My plan was simple. I would prove him right. I would be the sad, dark house. I would turn off the porch light. I would lock the door. I would go to bed at 7 p.m. I would be the old, embarrassing woman. I would be exactly what he told me I was. I sat there for an hour as the sun went down, letting the darkness fill the room. The tea went cold. And then I looked at that silly witch's hat on the table, and I thought, he told me to stay home. He didn't tell me I had to be quiet. He didn't tell me I had to sit in the dark. He just removed my invitation from his life. He didn't get to take away my invitation to my own. My son, he never expected what I did next. So I sat there in the cold, dark living room, and I let myself feel it. All of it. The sting of being called an embarrassment. The cold, hollow feeling of being dismissed. It was a tough pill to swallow, and for a good 20 minutes, I just let it drag me under. Fine, I thought. End of story. I'll be the sad, dark house. It's what he expects. It's easier. But then, I looked at that bowl of candy. the good stuff. The full-size bars I'd bought with my own pension money. And I looked at that silly $10 witch's hat, and I thought, am I really going to let his words, his shame, steal my joy? You'll just embarrass us, Mom. Embarrass who, exactly? The friends I've never met? The son who, frankly, was acting like a spoiled child? No, not on my watch. I wasn't born yesterday. I knew what he was doing. He was making his discomfort my problem, and I decided I wasn't going to hold it for him anymore. So, I stood up. I walked to my front hall, and I flipped on the porch light. And then I flipped on the hallway lights, and the living room lights, and the little orange Halloween lights I'd strung up in the window. I lit my house up like a Christmas tree. I went to my old record player, the one I hadn't touched in ages, and I put on a record, Monster Mash. I turned it up. Not loud enough to bother the neighbors, you understand, but loud enough for the sidewalk to hear. I went to the kitchen. I put that mountain of full-size candy bars into my biggest, prettiest glass bowl. And then I took that silly witch's hat and I put it right on my head. I looked at myself in the hallway mirror. I looked ridiculous. And for the first time all day, I smiled.
I opened my front door. I took my most comfortable armchair and I dragged it right onto the front porch. I sat down under the bright lights with the music playing and that giant bowl of candy in my lap. I was not the sad, dark house. I was the good house, the best house. At first, the trick-or-treaters were a little shy. They saw me sitting there like a queen on her throne and didn't know what to make of it. The first one, a little boy dressed as a pirate, walked up. "Trick or treat?" I smiled wide. "Well, hello there, Captain. Look what I've got for you." I dropped a full-size Snickers bar in his bag. His eyes went wide as saucers. "Whoa, thank you!" He ran back to his friends on the sidewalk. Guys, go to that house. The grandma in the hat, she's giving out the big ones." And all of a sudden, my porch was the most popular spot on the block. It was a flood. Little ninjas, tiny princesses, superheroes. They were running to my house. Monster Mash was playing. Tapping my feet. I was asking every single child about their costume. "My goodness, a vampire. You look very scary." "A princess. Oh, you look just beautiful." The parents, this was the best part. They'd stand on the sidewalk and they'd smile at me. They'd wave. One mom, holding a little baby, called out, "This is the best house on the street. Thank you." I wasn't an embarrassment. I was the life of the party. I was so busy, so full, so happy that I didn't even see the minivan pull up to the curb. I was handing a Kit Kat to a little ghost when the music suddenly felt very loud. I heard a voice cut through the laughter, an angry, confused voice. "Mom, what on earth are you doing?" I looked up. It was David, my son, and his wife, and my grandchildren, Lily and Ben, standing on the sidewalk, holding their half-empty bags. They were all just staring at me, like they'd just seen a ghost. David just stood there on the public sidewalk. His face was turning a deep, blotchy red.
His wife, Sarah, she was the real problem. I saw her lean in, her hand gripping his arm, and she whispered something in his ear. "David, our friends are right down the street. Make her stop." She didn't look at me. She just sneered, as if I were a mess she'd have to clean up. But then, the real reason for my joy spoke up. "Grandma!" my granddaughter Lily yelled, her voice pure excitement. "You have the big bars and a hat!" She and Ben started to run up my walkway, their little plastic pumpkin buckets swinging. "Hold on," David snapped. Not at me, at his own children. They froze. He stalked up the walkway, stopping at the bottom step. He was physically looking down on me, but I've never felt taller. "Mom," he hissed, trying to keep his voice low. "What is this? What are you doing? I told you to stay home. I told you we were busy." I smiled at him, a nice, calm, simple smile. "I am home, David, and it's Halloween. I'm celebrating." I held up the giant bowl of candy. "Would you like a Snickers?" He was sputtering. He had a whole speech ready for the sad, crying woman in the dark, and he didn't know what to do with the queen on the porch. You're blasting music. Our friends can hear you. You're making a scene." "Oh," I said, and I turned to the sidewalk, to the other parents who were watching. I raised my voice just a little. "I'm so sorry. Is the music too loud for everyone?" That same mom from before, the one with the baby, she called back, "No, ma'am, it's perfect. Don't you dare turn it off." David's face, it was priceless. He had lost. In public. His wife, Sarah, grabbed his arm again, her face like thunder. "David, let's go. We're leaving." He looked at me, then at Lily and Ben, who were just staring at the candy bowl. "Fine," he spat. "Fine. Have it your way." And he turned. He grabbed his children by the hand and marched them back to the minivan, not even letting them say goodbye. I watched them drive off, and I won't lie, for a second, that old, familiar ache came back, the sting of rejection. I sat there. The music had finished. The street was quiet again, and I felt small. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was just a stubborn old fool in a silly hat. A little girl, dressed as a ladybug, walked up to my porch all by herself. Are you closed now, ma'am?" she whispered. I looked at her, and I thought about Lily and Ben, and I thought about David's angry red face, and I straightened my back. "No, sweetheart," I said, my voice strong again. "I am not closed." I reached into the bowl and gave her 2 full-size bars, one for you and one for being so brave. She giggled and ran off. I stood up, went inside, and put the Monster Mash record on again. I sat back down in my chair. The party wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The rest of the night was a blur of joy. I ran out of candy by 8:30. I waved goodnight to my neighbors. I went inside, cleaned up, and made myself a cup of hot tea. I sat in my armchair, the real one, inside, and I felt good. Then my phone, which had been silent all night, lit up. It was a text from David. I read it, and I felt nothing. It was like reading a weather report. I put the phone down. I looked at my phone. It was from Lily, my granddaughter. I didn't even know she had my number. I opened it, and that was it. My son's anger, it was just noise. But her words, they were everything. I wasn't an embarrassment. I was cool. My son had tried to punish me with silence, but the next generation, she had just set me free.
I sat there. For how long? I don't know. I just held on to that feeling. I thought your hat was cool. I love you. My son's angry words, his threats, they had just evaporated. They were hollow. They were noise. But Lily's words, they were an anchor. My son had tried to take my grandchildren away from me, but my granddaughter, she had just handed me back my life. I picked up the phone. I had 2 unread messages, one from David, the angry, punishing one, and one from Lily, the loving, validating one. I tapped on Lily's message. I hit send, and then I tapped on David's angry message. I read it one more time. You made your choice. Don't call me. And then I just turned the phone off. I put it on the charger, and I went to bed. I slept. For the first time in 10 years, I slept without that familiar, heavy weight on my chest. The weight of, am I doing it right? Are they happy? Am I being a good mother? I just slept. I woke up the next morning, and the house felt different. It felt mine. I made my coffee. I sat at my kitchen table in the morning sun. I turned my phone back on. It was a complete mess. It wasn't just his angry texts from last night. Oh no. I read them, and I saw them for exactly what they were. The panic. He had fired his biggest cannon, you can't see the kids, and I hadn't exploded. So now he was powerless. His anger had turned to fear. Not fear for me, but fear that he had lost control of me. We're worried about you now. That one? That one made me laugh into my coffee. They weren't worried when they were telling me I was an embarrassment. They were only worried when I stopped obeying. And I thought, I need to remember this, all of it. I went to my desk and I found a beautiful old leather-bound notebook, one I'd never used. I opened it to the first page and I wrote, "Things I know now." And then the words just poured out. 1. You will embarrass us is not about you. It is about their fear. 2. Your grandchildren see you, even when your children refuse to. 3. You are never too old to be the life of the party. 4. An angry threat only has power if you are afraid of the silence that follows. I am not. 5. Joy is the greatest rebellion. I kept writing. I wrote about the witch's hat. I wrote about the monster mash. I wrote about the look on David's face when the other mom called my house the best on the street. And as I wrote, I realized this is what I do next. My son told me to stay home. He didn't realize he was giving me the time and the space to find my own voice. I spent my whole life being the background, the quiet one, the good mother who just took it. Well, that's water under the bridge now. My son and his wife, they're not the villains of my story. Not really. They're just the ones who handed me the pen. It's been a week since the Halloween party, a week since my phone exploded, a week since I turned it off and just slept. And in that week, the silence from my son David, it was, well, It wasn't a punishment anymore. It was a gift. It was quiet. I spent the week writing. I wrote down things I hadn't thought about in 50 years. I wrote about the time I gave up a job I loved because his career was more important. I wrote about all the holidays I'd spent tiptoeing around other people's feelings while swallowing my own. I called them my notes from the quiet, and with every page, I felt a little lighter. My granddaughter, Lily, came over on Saturday, by herself. She just knocked on the door. She said, "Dad didn't want me to. He said Grandma needs to cool off." I just smiled and said, "Well, I'm not the one who's overheated. Do you want to make cookies?" We baked. We made a mess. We talked about school and music, and for the first time, she asked about me. She saw my notebook on the counter. "Is that your diary, Grandma?" "Something like that," I said. "It's just a place to put things so I don't have to carry them anymore." She nodded, like that made all the sense in the world. "Can you read me one?" I picked up the book. I flipped to a new page. "Number 14, I said. "You are not a supporting character in your own life. You are the lead." Lily smiled. "I like that one. That's a good one." "I'll get it, sweetheart. You watch the cookies."
He stood there for a long time, just staring at me. I wasn't in a witch's hat. I was just me in my apron with flour on my hands. "David," I said. Just a statement. "Mom," he said. His voice was small. Can I come in?" "I'm busy, David. I have my granddaughter over." "I know," he said. I just... He was fumbling. This was the man who 1 week ago had the power to call me an embarrassment. Now he couldn't even make a sentence. I stepped aside. "You have 5 minutes. The cookies are about to burn." He walks into her house. He sees Lily at the kitchen counter. Lily gives him a small, shy wave, then goes back to the cookies. This is not his space. He is a guest. He sees the notebook on the counter. He sees the lights. He sees her happy. "Mom," he started. I smiled. He didn't know how to apologize. He only knew how to be angry. "Sarah and you what, David?" We were worried. When you didn't call back, we were worried. I'm gonna stop you right there, David. You weren't worried. You were angry. You were angry because I didn't sit in the dark like you told me to. You were angry because for one night I wasn't invisible, and you couldn't stand it. He just stared, his mouth open. "Mom, I didn't..." "David," I said, and I picked up my notebook. "I'm not angry at you. That's water under the bridge. I'm just done. I'm done being the person you need me to be so you can feel comfortable." I flipped a page. "I wrote one this morning. Listen, number 21. You cannot make your children respect you. You can only demand that they do. And if they refuse, you simply stop asking. And you go respect yourself." He finally understood. He wasn't going to get his old mom back. He nodded. His voice cracked. I'm sorry, Mom. I really am." "I know you are, David," I said, and I meant it. "The cookies are done." He didn't stay. He couldn't. The new me, she was still a stranger to him, but it was a start. He left, and I went back to my granddaughter. We ate hot cookies, and we talked about what she was going to be for Halloween next year. My son told me to stay home and be quiet. He thought he was giving me a punishment, but he ended up giving me a gift. He gave me the silence I needed to finally hear my own voice. If you are listening to this, if you have ever felt invisible, if anyone has ever told you that you are too much or too old or an embarrassment, please do me a favor. Go find a notebook and start writing down your own rules. My name is Grace, and this is Senior Struggles and Wisdom. Thank you for listening to my story. Tell me, what's the first thing you're going to write in your notebook? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe. We have a lot more to talk about.